Welcome to Canine Revolution Radio. Presented by Canine Revolution Dog Training. Enhancing the dog and owner relationship through education, balance, and pack instinct.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Canine Revolution Radio. Glad to have you guys. We got the whole team here today. We got Chad, we got Kevin, we got Samantha, got Lexi, and I'm Chris, if you don't know me.
You know, I just noticed something.
What?
Ben, Chris has a really good, radio voice. He
here
turns
we go.
into that. He turns on the radio
You say I have a
voice
phone
mode.
voice. You say I have a voice for everything.
You do. You have, you just changed your voice. You're like, all right, we live. All right, hey, everybody.
If you want to use that phone voice, I got a job for you.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Back on topic.
I'm good. Can't even get into the intro with these guys. But we got the whole team assembled here today.
Don't talk over each other.
Not the whole team.
Well, no. We got
the training team.
We got the training.
The trainer.
Well,
and the apprentice.
We got 3 certified trainers. We got some training apprentices here. Obviously, not the whole team, but
no talking over each other.
You've broken the rule twice already. But we want to do a special episode today on how to find the right trainer for you, how to find the right trainer to work with you and your family and your dog, right? So why we're doing this, we have a client that deals with a lot of dogs and a lot of different trainers, and recently had a pretty bad experience with another local trainer, and so some of the stuff that we were seeing we didn't like, and it's honestly been a build-up with a lot of other stories that we've heard from other trainers that are local to our area, and kind of fed up about it, honestly.
Chris wants to rant.
We're
ranting today.
I do too. I'm boiling.
I mean, it's been kind of worked up. Like here and there, we hear a story, we're like, wow, that's kind of effed up. You know what I'm saying? And then it keeps boiling up. Now we have this incident that came out. We'll talk about some of the details. Obviously, we're not going to share any names or anything like that. But if you guys want to know who to stay away from, just give us a call.
So the goal today is?
The goal today is to give you guys some tools, to give the listeners some tools on some questions to ask if you guys are interviewing a trainer to get involved with, some things to physically look for, right? And and then at the end we'll talk about some red flags. You know, red flags doesn't necessarily mean hey, stay away, don't go forward, but things you should probably ask further questions about. So that's kind of the format of today. So before we get into it, let's talk about some of these stories that have been kind of building up. You guys got any horror stories from some local board and trains or from clients that have told you about bad experiences they've had?
Oh, yeah. I just took one home. It's been a little while. But she was telling me about another trainer that did a consultation. You know, dogs insecure, dogs having some reactivity issues. You know, it's pure aggression. You know, they don't understand the root cause of it. So the trainer comes over, talks to the lady, puts on a bite sleeve, charges the dog to a corner. The dog cowers in fear, pisses on itself. Trainer turns around, tells the client, "This dog's a bitch. He ain't gonna bite anybody." And right there, you don't understand what you're looking at. You don't understand what you're dealing with. What you actually just did was make the situation worse, reinforce the aggression. Yes, when he was backed into a corner, he shut down. But if he's uncomfortable, those aggressive behaviors were just reinforced over time just from that incident alone. I mean, that's traumatic. You know, the dog doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's going to help him overcome.
So if you're doing something like that and you don't understand, learning theory, you don't understand conditioning, you can't identify root causes, you can't, even basic terminology in the dog training world to where that, you're looking at learned helplessness occurring over time, just completely shutting down on you. You don't know what that means. You need to stop handling dogs. Mm-hmm. You need to go learn and then come back, because that is the incorrect thing to do. And I've heard stories over and over and over again of similar things like that happening to test for aggression. You can't even tell me the root cause of aggression. You don't need to be a damn dog trainer. Yeah, that's it, because you're not going to be able to identify and fix the problem. Mm-hmm. You may be able to train him, through whatever methods you may use, and we all know, what goes around there. Mm-hmm. But when he comes home, you're still going to have that issue at hand. So you're not actually addressing the mindset. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. That was one of many.
I've heard similar story. It may have been the same trainer or a different one, but these people have a dog, and it's a dog breed that typically doesn't, it's traditionally known as a good family dog. Mm-hmm. We'll just say that, what I'm saying. And but this dog keeps biting people in the house. They have kids. They have their kids' friends comes over. The dog is either displaying aggression or actually making contact, harming, different people coming through the house. So obviously it's a concern. You know what I'm saying? And they they have a trainer come over to do a consultation. They tell the trainer all the stories, all this kind of stuff. Trainer comes over, whoever it is, in a bite suit.
Full bite suit?
Full bite suit.
Wow.
You know, and I get it, you know, trying to be like if you're wearing a bite suit because you're scared about getting bit, you know, trying to be safe, like that's one thing. This person comes in the house being an aggressor, you know, running up at the dog, yelling at the dog, all this kind of stuff, which most people aren't going to do when they come in your house. If they're your friend, they're going to be like, hey, how's it going? Not, you know, running at the dog or whatever. So anyway, this individual comes in the house. I don't even think I can call him a trainer because they did this, but this individual comes in the house.
The bullshitter.
Charges the dog. You know, basically same story about what you said, Kevin. Dog shuts down, pisses on itself. You know, runs away, goes into a corner. The person says, "Oh, he's not aggressive." You know what I'm saying? And the people, you know, the owners were actually pretty skeptical of the situation, so they didn't do anything further from that. They're like, okay,
Good.
thanks for coming by.
Yeah, rightfully
you know?
so. I mean, that was probably pretty weird.
Yeah, they were thrown off by the, you know, way the person came in the house. So at that point, they're like, if this is a dog trainer, we don't think we can be helped because they think that maybe that's how all dog trainers are, you know? Or maybe they have someone come over that's doing private lessons. They come over, they say, I can't help your dog. You got to put it down, you know, something like that. So anyway, a year goes by. They talk to somebody who we trained a dog for. They say, hey, you should hit up Chad, blah, blah, blah. This is a long time ago. They're like, hey, you should hit up Chad, blah, blah, blah. So the lady calls me. She's on the phone with me for probably 2 hours talking to me about everything going on. She's crying, you know, because they love the dog, but they got this major issue. So, of course, I'm like, hey, let me come over, check it out, blah, blah, blah. So I come over, you know, normal clothes, you know, walk in, I'm neutral, you know, dog doesn't display any aggression towards me. I'm able to pick up that there's some insecurity going on. I'm able to detect some body language that says, okay, I can see where this could happen, where that could happen, you know, but the dog's neutral to me the whole time that we're there. And, you know, the husband, he was pretty skeptical at first, but because of the way that I went in there, educated them, I spent another 2 hours in their house talking to them, trying to educate them, you know, and then they finally, at that point, said, hey, let's give it a shot. They said, we don't know if it's going to work. Let's give it a shot. At that point, we had a 4-month waiting list. So they got to wait 4 months. You know, not ideal, but it has to happen so that we can give the dogs that are ahead of that dog everything they need. So they're waiting for 4 months. The ladies call me like once a week. I don't know if this is going to work. Is it really going to work? You know, blah, 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 blah. So we get down to the actual training. You know, everything goes smooth. Get the dog trained. Dog's been home. No issues, you know, since training. You know, they're like, you know, I talk to them all the time. They're super thankful that they move forward with it. But just one scenario where, you know, someone that calls himself a dog trainer, I wouldn't call him a dog trainer, walks into a house, misrepresents the dog training community. You know, these people are skeptical. They love their dog. You know, thankfully they didn't try to make any bad decisions like putting the dog down or anything like that, you know, and then reached out to us in the future, you know, and then got it on the right path. So just another situation.
But that's a big thing too, because, you know, when you call a dog trainer, like you call anybody,
Yeah.
you know, you expect it to be pretty much clear cut across the board, because a lot of people don't understand the differences in training and all that good stuff. I don't know plumbing.
Yeah.
If I call a plumber, he comes in, looks at my bathroom, and says, oh, your bathroom's screwed. I'm probably going to take that and be like, oh, got to do a whole new bathroom, whatever the case may be. So it's almost the same thing when they come in and they do crazy things like that, which I don't even know what's going through their mind when they're, you know, trying that.
Yeah.
It ruins some people's perspective of training and not realizing that it's all very, very, very much different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we live in this culture of trust the experts, right? Who's the experts? Just because you have a title, you're an expert. You know what I'm saying?
A title you gave yourself.
What's a title you gave yourself, or a title that you earned online through doing no actual experience. Like, it's good that they had the wherewithal to say no to this person, but that's not happening. More often than not, people are convincing themselves like, yeah, this doesn't feel right, but they're a dog trainer. They know more than I do, so let's go ahead and do this, and you're going to fix my dog, right? So I'm going to trust you to do that, and they make this decision, and they go forward with these people that are trainers. That was quote marks for those of you not watching on YouTube, right? They're alleged trainers, and then they screw everything up because they're doing everything wrong. So, but anybody else got any other
Speaking
stories?
of experts, ever since, you know, I got into dog training, one of the things I tell people is, you know, hire an expert in the field that you're looking for. And ever since then, I've lived that mantra in my personal life. You know, I used to think I could work on my own car. Nope. You know, now I take it to an actual expert. I take mine at the dealership, but I take it to an actual expert to do everything to specific standard. You know, dentists. Sure. I used to think I can clean my own teeth.
Oh, I'm still on that train, but
now I go to the dentist. I get an expert to clean my teeth.
Yeah. And guess what though?
Or
that might cost you some more too.
Might cost
you might spend a little bit more.
Think you can put a fence together? I'll just hire an expert. You know,
I can do it.
I know a guy if you need a fence.
I'll just go to hire an expert because I don't want to do the labor.
That's painting. Tough. Painting. If you need some painting, I know an expert that can paint. You know what I'm saying? So, all right.
Yeah. Cool. Anybody else got any other stories?
We got stories, but when are you going to get into yours?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell my story then.
All right.
So this is kind of this was the breaking point for us to do this episode and sit down and kind of talk about this kind of stuff. So we have a client that has dealt with a multitude of dogs. They've sent multiple dogs to us to be trained, as well as multiple dogs to other trainers, right? So in this situation, we had a reservation for one of their dogs to come. And because of our wait list, like Chad mentioned, sometimes we're out 3-4 months, you know what I mean? And it is what it is. And so this client sent a couple of their dogs to another trainer, right? And so we're getting down to the wire. This particular dog has been with this trainer for 8 weeks. So 2 months. 2 months this dog's been with this trainer. The trainer's advice at the end of that 8 weeks, once this client touches base, is this dog can't be rehomed. This dog is too aggressive, too dog reactive. My recommendation is to put this dog down. Unless you can find somebody that lives up on the top of a mountain that's never going to come down, this dog needs to be put down, can't be rehomed. And I told this client, I said, bullshit, we'll take the dog, right? So we take this dog, first of all, after 8 weeks, this dog doesn't know anything. It's very clear. Like, I'm curious, like what was going on this whole time.
8 weeks is a long time.
It's a long time. I mean, that's our longest program that and I mean, those dogs are sharp. Those of you that have done 8-week programs can testify to that. You know, dogs are sharp after 8 weeks. That's a lot of time. If you're doing things right, you can make a lot of progress, right? So that's kind of what I would naturally be expecting, right? I should have some progress, at least some obedience or something. Nothing, right? Nothing. This dog's not good to go.
Well, you do have something. Some crazy anxiety, stressed out noises.
For sure. Yeah. Well, don't make fun of him. I like those noises. But anyway, so we get that dog. That dog comes in. Obviously, the client is very upset. She's telling me like, "Hey, I'm very upset about how this dog looks. You know, we've got some injuries. This dog's super skinny." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, dogs lose weight in training. Things
What's
like
the
that.
injuries?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
Don't go
pushing my mic away. Let you finish your thought.
He's talking over me, man. Can you regulate this guy? So anyway, I go to her house to pick this dog up so I can check it myself. So initially I'm like, okay, it's probably not that bad, you know. It's pretty bad. So like this dog's got major compression sores, which compression sores are from, you know, when a dog's basically laying down for long periods of time. You can have them from when they're spending too much time in the kennel, right? So you got like these major hot spots all over the elbows, the wrists, all four legs, right? Got hot spots on his chest. He's losing fur, like the fur is just coming off of his chest. He's got like physical injuries, like scrapes and stuff on him. We see some stuff in his ears, like these 2 marks in his ears. Kind of weird. I was like, I don't know about that. But just kind of filed it away, you know, in the memory. But he's definitely super skinny. So especially for a dog that's been somewhere in a well, I'm not going to say a stable environment, but the dog has stabilized in this environment, been there consistently for 2 months. This dog is super skinny. Ribs are protruding, spine's protruding. You can see the hip bones coming out. Just not in good shape. You know what I mean? So now we're starting to question like, well, what the heck is going on here, right? And this client tells me, hey, I've got a couple more dogs at this place. And we're like, holy crap. I'm like, well, like, you know, I'm not one to just jump to conclusions and say, hey, this person's doing the wrong thing, right? So I gave her some advice like, hey, I'd probably go put eyes on these dogs. I'd probably go do a little visit, you know, just check out these other dogs. So she's like, cool, yeah, I'll do that. So she showed up the next day. We've now taken this other dog, started working, good to go. No, first of all, no aggression so far. It's been, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or something, a week and a half or so.
What was the aggression that they said was it dog reactivity?
Yeah, yeah.
So it shows up here. We've got a lot of dogs.
We got a lot of dogs.
We got some cats.
We got some chickens.
Chickens.
We got some guineas.
Guineas.
Noisemakers.
No reactions.
No, I mean he's amped. Now,
Okay.
don't get me wrong.
Okay,
Like,
he's amped.
He's amped. So like, there's definitely some grounds for some reactivity. You know, but there's nothing that I would be suggesting that this dog needs to be put down. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, first of all, we never suggest that.
Do you think the dog didn't react because of your handlership or because of something that happened while the dog was somewhere else? Your energy, your
probably
handlership.
a combo of both, honestly. Probably, you know, he spent some time with me in the car, about an hour car ride, maybe some cuddle time. Lexi was with me. What?
Lexi?
We got to know the dog, you know. So you know, we start off on the right foot. Had a good time. But yeah, I mean, I think the basis of it is he didn't have the opportunity to get into a fight with another dog. I think that's the big point, right? So like, it sounds like from the story that I was getting was like these dogs are cut loose in an open area with no, like, there's maybe one, maybe two handlers in an open area with a bunch of other dogs, right? So there's no control, there's no management, right? Dogs are able to get up in each other's faces. So now even if you do have it, you got a dog that's struggling with some reactivity or whatever, of course what's going to happen, he's going to react. You know what I'm saying? So right off the rip, we're setting this dog up for success, giving him space, not getting him too close to the dogs. He is definitely getting some hyper focus. He's staring at the dogs. He's getting amped up, you know, little tail wag going, not necessarily like in a playful mood, whatnot, but no issues as far as aggression or reacting to other dogs. We got to get him settled in the kennel. He's good to go. No, you know, he's right next to. He's got dogs on both sides. No reactivity there. He's fine. He's good to go. So definitely, like, not having any issues with dog reactivity. So anyway, we go through. This client goes to visit these other dogs. I don't know, a day or two later, and same stuff. So all across the board, I think it's like 3 or 4 dogs. All got the same stuff. Just terrible compression sores. Some of them even have neck wounds, hot spots. Looks like could be from like misuse of the remote collar or possibly some other tools. All of them have these marks in their ear. So now this is starting to lead me to think like there's some pain compliance training going on, right? Some ear pinching, which is you know, an old school tactic, pinching of the ear, causing the dog some pain for them to comply into whatever obedience you're trying to get them to do. Once they comply, you stop pinching them, right? So all of them have these injuries. They're all jacked up. They're all super skinny because this client is there now doing a visit. They're telling us like there's a lot of other dogs here that are crammed in the kennels they're not suitable for them. Their heads are hunched over, their backs hunched over. They barely have room to turn around and move, which is like, I mean, especially if you're talking about a dog being there for 2 months. That can cause some back injuries, cause a lot of problems, you know, as far as their growth and things like that. It's just not good. It's a chaotic environment. Everything was just, you know, strewn out about everywhere. Nothing's clean, all that kind of stuff. There's tools sitting around that cause her concern, like whips and stuff like that, which we'll talk about some tools and things like that. But overall, not a good situation. My advice was pull your dogs out of there as soon as possible. And obviously we're supporting this client. Obviously we still do have a wait list, that kind of stuff, but we're supporting as best we can to set her and the dogs up for success. So that's kind of the story that got us going on this rant and this episode. So this is why we want to set the listeners up so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen.
Good to go.
Anything else before we get into it?
Actually, this is the first time that I'd ever heard of the ear pinching.
Really?
I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
I imagine, you know, there was a ton of things that they used, you know, back in the day that are not necessarily necessary now.
Yeah.
You know, and this is some of these trainers around here, this is their automatic go-to. It doesn't work. Oh, your dog can't be trained. Put the dog down. You know,
when really what you should be saying is, hey, I don't know what to do here.
Right.
And so like a lot of times it becomes an ego thing where like, well, if I can't train the dog, then no one can train this dog, and this dog is untrainable and it needs to be killed. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't know why we put our ego into the things like, now we haven't encountered it yet, but let's say that scenario happened with us. We'd be up front like, hey, we're having trouble with this, like straight up. Let's see what we can do to support you to figure this out, or recommend somebody that can do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, like I said, we've not had a case that we can't handle, but I think that's what a lot of these trainers are doing is like, I literally don't know what to do here. You know, so I can't solve this aggression, so got to kill the dog.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are a few that, you know, they'll, you know, a lot of these trainers cherry pick their cases too. You know,
sure.
They want to be successful. They want to, you know, make the money the way that they want to. So they'll actually refer us. Oh,
sure.
I can't take this case. don't necessarily know what I'm doing or don't necessarily want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But here's the guys that can.
Yeah.
you
Hey,
know?
respect to
and
that.
that's more respect for that because you're saying, hey, I don't know, but here is somebody that may.
For
you
sure.
know?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing just to touch on old school training tactics or old school training techniques that we don't believe should be practiced. You know, number one, back in the day, super old school, for example, one of the things that like hunting dog trainers used to do, you know, because they're sending hunting dogs away from them at a distance to go pick up something or go chase something out of brush or whatever, you know, way back in the day, super old school, they have to be able to reach out and influence that dog's behavior, right, at a distance. Talking about 100 yards, 200 yards, whatever. You know, you can't do that with a leash. You know, at a certain point, even if you do tons of repetitions with verbal conditioning of behaviors with a verbal cue or sound signal, right, the dog is still going to go into a state of arousal that's going to conflict with that verbal conditioning to that cue. You know what I'm saying? So the dog's going to be conflicted and it needs a little bit of guidance in that situation. So way back in the day, what they used to do, take little BB guns and actually shoot the dog in the rear, like in the hips or the butt, to influence its behavior. You know what I'm saying? And they would train the dog to that. That's super old school.
Yeah.
Then it turned into type of, you know, old school remote collar system that the level could not be adjusted, one level, super high, you know, but that would give them the distance control of these hunting dogs. You
And
know,
it was
what I'm
like
saying?
a literal. That was like a
believe-
literal electrical discharge. That wasn't it?
Literal
I think
shot
so.
collar.
It was not
you
TENS
know.
technology
old,
from my
old
understanding.
school. Yeah, super old school. And then it turned into over time as time's gone on to today's modern high-end remote collars that can be finely tuned, adjusted. You know, the stimulation is that of a TENS unit, so, you know, it's fair and all that kind of stuff when trained properly. So that's just an example of something that, you know, old school what happened. There might still be people practicing that. I don't know. But now we've got the new technology, the new era to be able to reach out and guide a dog or influence behavior at certain distances, stuff like that. So that's just one example of an old school technique. Another technique that you might see people doing is the ear pinching, you know, which is basically a negative reinforcement. They're trying to use some form of negative reinforcement, you know, and if you don't know what negative reinforcement is, we did do a podcast on it, but basically what it is, the quick and easy, you turn something on, the dog performs some kind of behavior, you turn it off. Therefore, the behavior that the dog's performing is being reinforced over time, or it's going to be more likely to occur in the future. So in this situation, you know, we don't agree with this, but this is what they're trying to do. They're grabbing the dog's ear, twisting it, pinching it, whatever, you know, maybe because they want the dog to sit, or maybe because they want the dog to stop reacting at another dog. Then as soon as the dog stops reacting or the dog sits, they let go of the ear. That's what they're supposed to do. If you want to be super scientific about it. Now, is that probably happening the right way? No, because the timing factor to execute that, you know, perfectly is going to have to be very precise, and you're not going to be able to do that, you know, with a moving dog. Also, you know, if you've listened to our stuff before, we don't agree with using our hands in a negative way on the dog. We don't agree with negative contact on the dog physically, right? So that's already crossing that line. We don't agree with that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, if they're doing that, that's what they're trying to do, but they're probably obviously being unsuccessful with it. You know what I'm saying? Another type of old school training technique would be creating a superstitious association, which we all know what that is. We've also talked about it in previous podcasts before, but a superstitious association is getting the dog to associate, you know, a experience with something, right? So for example, what you might see trainers doing, and if you're working with a trainer that's doing this, I would recommend getting away from them, but because it's not the ideal way to train. But you know, for example, you're walking down the street, right? Dog walks too far ahead of you. You slam a metal jar full of something, nails, screws, bolts, nuts, marbles, anything loud. You slam it into the ground, or you shake it very rapidly. And the idea is The dog doesn't like the noise, so you're creating an association to walking ahead of you with the noise. Therefore, the dog should stop walking ahead of you. Is that going to work 100% of the time? No. Is it convenient to walk around with a big-ass jar of marbles all the time? No. Is it stupid? Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, think about the dog's perspective. Why the hell would they want to go on walks with you?
Right.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
Every time we go on a walk, I get the shit scared out of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's also going to induce more stress on the dog because now, it's a superstitious association, probably not with walking ahead of you. It's probably a superstitious association with you, yourself, unfortunately, or that area of the neighborhood or that part of the sidewalk. So that's why it's not ideal. You know what I'm saying? But there are people out there doing that. So these are just some examples of old school training techniques that you may see that, I understand the thought process, at least from studying those techniques. Like I can see, the learning theory, scientific piece of it, but in reality, makes zero sense.
Yeah.
It makes zero sense at all to actually execute that type of training.
And in practice too. I mean, they're not,
Yeah.
they're not doing it right.
Yeah.
I mean,
If there was a right way to do it, it's not really occurring. you
right.
know?
And so let's just
Not
touch
only that,
back.
there's just a better way.
Right.
There's a better way to
There's
do
a
it.
better way, yeah. And so let's just touch back on my story real quick. When I first started getting into dog training, I was working with this other company. We train with a leash and a collar. We train with a remote collar. No rewards, no nothing. My personal dog started not liking to work with me, and
Justifiably so, right?
Right. And I got a Doberman because I'm like, I want him to want to work. You see videos of Dobermans, German Shepherds, Malinois, all these cool working dogs doing cool stuff with their owners, doing protection training, doing, fetch work, doing tug, all that. You're like, I want that. Right. Then you get with the wrong trainer and you're basically crushing your dog's drive. You're crushing their desire to want to be with you. You don't even know it. You're trying to do the right thing. But unfortunately, you stumbled upon the wrong people, right? And that's why this podcast is very important. That's why, YouTube is very important because you can learn a lot of different things online and you can make an educated decision about who you're going to work with, you know what I'm saying? But back in the day, I'm working with this other training company, my personal dog that I live with starts not wanting to work with me, and it's crushing me because I'm like, I have my hopes and dreams up here to do with my dog, but I'm way down here and it looks like it's going down. It's going lower. It's getting worse, right? So I step away from that company, learn from the one and only Michael Ellis. What I'm saying?
The great.
And then we adjust a few things to to make it work for our system. And now, my hopes and dreams are up here with my dog, and what we've achieved is there or above that. You know what I'm saying? And the key is preserving motivation, preserving drive, having a good time together, but still, understanding that there's a balance. If they do the right thing, you provide that random reward. If you do the wrong thing, you're held accountable, just like we are in our world. You know what I'm saying? But it's very balanced. So preserving motivation, preserving drive, but still getting the proper training, still getting the proper behaviors is critical.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So doing the right thing that way. So you got to be really careful about who you're working with, studying their techniques, studying their, what they're showing you on videos and stuff like that to see what they're doing. So I'm kind of going a long rant, but anyway, back to Chris.
I like it. No, that's good. That's good stuff. And so our goal here today is to give you some of those tools. Maybe you're starting to look. Maybe you look at a couple of trainers and you don't really know what to look for. What is right, what is wrong, what is immoral, what is going to get me to that, to what Chad's talking about, getting me up here with my goals, right? So we're going to give you some tools, some questions that you can ask, things like that. So we'll start in the initial. Everybody, when they're looking for a trainer, go to Google, right? Mm-hmm. Google a trainer. So first step.
Dog trainer near me.
Dog trainer near me. Oh, what's this? Canine Revolution dog training. Oh, wow. 5 stars. Wow. All 5-star reviews. Nice.
What if you're in California? Type in Canine Revolution dog training. Good to go.
It doesn't matter. Good to go. Yeah. So, you're going to have like a website or something. Hopefully you got a website. Everybody should have some type of website, right? That's going to be legitimate. Maybe not. Maybe some people are just word of mouth, that kind of stuff. So that's not going to rule those people out. But look at the website. Check out their social media. Look at the videos. Don't get distracted by videos of cute puppies, right? Look at what's actually going on with the training. Compare all of the videos as you're looking at these different social media, things like that. What's going on? How are the dogs responding to the trainers? Does it look like they're having a good time? Does it look like, they're super, super skinny and malnourished and scared and all that kind of stuff? So, like, you could probably weed out a lot of things just by looking at your different websites and whatnot. All right, but let's say you got a couple of options. Your next step we recommend is to actually talk with somebody from the company, right? So obviously you should never just shoot over, whatever, like reach out and just automatically sign up with a company. Talk to somebody, interview the trainer. If you're truly like doing the responsible thing as a dog owner, interview who, especially when we're talking about board and train, where your dog's going to be away from you, going somewhere for, duration of time, somewhere between 2 weeks and 8 weeks, right? So we're going to give you some questions that you can ask the trainer just to make sure that they, number one, know what the heck they're doing and that they're doing things the right way, right? So right off the rip, you should ask something like, what is your training philosophy and what does your training progression look like? They should be able to walk you through what the steps in their training progression are. And we did an episode on that, so we won't dive into too much detail on that, but they should be able to walk you through what that progression looks like and how they can troubleshoot if, let's say, for example, I use positive reinforcement, right? What happened? Well, my dog's not food motivated. What's your next steps then, right? Right? They're stumped, right? Okay, thank you for your time. Mm-hmm. Right? Next, what quadrant of operant conditioning do you use? Or quadrants, right? That alone might weed out some people because a lot of trainers don't.
Pause real quick on the first question.
Yeah.
Training progression. Let's say you ask someone about training progression and they're just trying to shove something down your throat or shove something in your ear, trying to keep you busy, trying to throw you off. They'll try to throw you off.
Yeah.
It's
called fluff.
Now, when I'm on the phone with somebody, for example, I understand that this person may not have all day to talk to me. I also have things I need to do, train dogs. So I try to give it to them in a very clear and concise manner. But let's say you're talking to somebody and you're getting thrown off. Don't be afraid. Hey, can you explain that a little bit more?
Hey, I don't understand what you mean by that.
Right. Because I'm going to, if you want the full shebang, and I tell people this, I say, if you want the full thing, I'm going to detail it out for you right now.
Yeah, and it can get sciencey and confusing and everything like that.
If you want the quick and easy, I'll give you the quick and easy. So you need to, whoever you are, if you're looking for a trainer, make sure you tell them, hey, I want to know the details of how you're going to get from point A to point B. What's everything look like in between? One of the things we do, we also explain our terminology along the way. We talk about, like Lexi's doing a phone call with someone yesterday. She's talking about socialization. She explains what socialization is. Mm-hmm. If someone's talking to you about socialization, but they can't explain it to you in a way that makes sense, or, if you listen to our stuff and you're like, okay, I like that, and you're interviewing a trainer in your area and you're talking to them about socialization and it doesn't make sense, probably a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to fully explain everything. And that's one thing that the previous company I used to work for, I didn't know operant conditioning when I worked for them.
Yeah.
Never taught it. I didn't know classical conditioning. I didn't know all these different things. I learned that from Michael Ellis. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if someone can't explain things to you, probably not a good place to be at.
Yeah.
Back to Chris.
Bingo. Yeah. No, I like it. So next question. What quadrants of operant conditioning do you use, right? So a lot of people might say, hey, well, we use positive reinforcement. Everybody loves to hear, oh, they use positive reinforcement. They're good to go. Number one, that's not going to be effective. You need to use all quadrants of operant conditioning, which, again, like I said, we've done an episode on this where we deep dive into operant and classical conditioning, so we won't go into that too much, but we should, in some form or fashion, be using all four of those quadrants of operant conditioning, right? And again, you can follow up with the question if somebody says, oh, well, we use positive reinforcement. Well, what if my dog doesn't take food? Right? Well, what's your positive? Well, then maybe they say, well, then we'll use physical touch. My dog doesn't care about physical touch, right? See how you can keep going with these questions. We're trying to push them a little bit to say, what other than positive reinforcement do you use and believe in? Does that kind of make sense?
Well, one thing about asking someone, what quadrants of operant conditioning do you use? If they're mind blown at that question, just walk away.
And that's why you word it just like that. That's why you ask it exactly like we asked it, because, if you're a high-level trainer, a legit professional dog trainer, you know what these terms are. Mm-hmm. And so if you're blowing somebody's mind, just politely thank them for their time, and we'll let you know.
Or if they get pissed. I've
Yeah.
heard
They get
stories
angry.
from clients where they're questioning the trainer. Trainer gets, well, if you don't want dog training, why you call me?
Yep.
You know, so you're getting mad, so that tells me
Ego
you don't
issue.
know, you're having an ego issue, and you don't have patience to train my dog.
Right.
Why
You
would
don't-
I give my dog to you
you
right
don't have
now?
patience to get through a phone conversation.
If you get angry with me on the phone, you know, ain't gonna be good for the dog.
Yeah.
Let me go. Yeah, ain't gonna be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Back to Chris.
Yeah. Other question, what is your system of communication, or how do you communicate with a dog, or along the progression, what is the end goal? Like, what does the end system of communication look like? How are you going to tell my dog when they're doing the right thing versus when they're doing the wrong thing? Right. And then you can even go further, like, hey, well, what about a blind dog or a deaf dog or something like that, which all of which we've trained, right? Because your communication might vary a little bit with a dog that can't see, or a dog like old Murdoch who's got no eyeballs, right? Can't see nothing. We got to do things a little bit different, but it's all essentially the same, right? So this is, again, another question you're going to ask.
No eyeballs, but he still blinks.
He does.
Crazy.
Blink.
That is
And
kinda
he
weird.
knows, like, dude, he knows where things are.
He knows.
Yeah,
what
he
things
looks
are.
at you. It
It's
feels
sensitive.
like
The
he's looking at
the
you.
chicken will walk right by Murdoch and he'll snap
Oh, yeah.
right towards that chicken. I mean,
Or a deaf dog.
deaf dog.
A little bit different.
Yeah, maybe we got to rely more on our hand signals. Not maybe, we do have to
Oh,
rely
yeah.
more on our hand signals, right? They can't hear you.
Or a three-legged dog.
Or a three-legged dog.
Done those before.
Yeah,
A little bit different.
yeah. So throw some of these, even if this isn't your dog, right? You're interviewing your dog's got, your dog's got, both ears and all four legs and everything's good to go.
Two
Ask
eyes.
these 2 eyes. Ask these questions, right? Well, what do you do have you ever trained a blind dog? Or the ladies like
Oh yeah,
that
they're,
one.
they're going off.
Ask them, throw some curveballs in there, right? A good professional trainer has got experience. They've dealt with a lot of different things, and you're not really going to throw them for a loop. You know what I mean?
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. We kind of get amped up when we get some unusual questions.
Yeah.
I'm
like, oh, you want to?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
That's a
Keeps
good
keeps
time.
me on my toes.
Oh
you know?
yeah, keeps you on your toes.
Yeah,
Good
for
to
sure,
go.
for sure. And be honest too. If we have, like, let's say I haven't trained a deaf dog. I say, hey, you know what? I haven't trained a deaf dog, but I know Chad, my buddy, he's trained one, right? Or if it's something we've never encountered, like, hey, dogs all learn the same, so we're going to be able to communicate how we're going to still accomplish the mission.
Right. That's a key. That's a key right there. If it's something that a trainer or like someone asks us, hey, what about this? We're like, actually, we haven't dealt with that before, but this is how we would manipulate what we're doing to suit that dog's needs. And then as we're going through the training, if there needs to be further manipulation of progressions or, training techniques, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So the trainer should be able to talk you through those manipulations. And that's why our specific Canine Revolution trainer certification program is so intense.
Yeah.
Because by the time a trainer gets certified, they have to be able to understand how to manipulate things to meet that dog's needs, to meet that dog and owner's needs. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All right, back
Bingo.
to Chris.
Next thing, what training tools do you use, and how do you use them or introduce them, right? So we'll just right off the rip, one of the big ones that holds a stigma or that's kind of controversial, remote collars, right? And we get that question a lot, do you use remote collars, right? You're not, like, you shouldn't have a trainer just goes, yes. Next question. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should elaborate a little bit. Like, how do you introduce, if I send my dog to you, you are using a remote collar, when does my dog get the remote collar? Oh, well, day one, we put it on and we start using it. Red flag, right? So, like, talk me through the process of how to introduce the remote collar. Again, we've done a full episode on the remote collar, so you guys can get some of the details. It's almost like we've already set you guys up for success with all these tools that we've given you guys.
Trying to.
So deep dive into all of these other videos as well, so you're educating yourself on classical conditioning, operant conditioning, the remote collar use, all of that kind of stuff, so you know what questions to ask. But what kind of tools do you use, right? Whips. No, that's not good, right?
How do you introduce a whip?
yeah, you just do it, right? And that's not good to go. So if, like, they're using whips or they're using sticks with duct tape around it, which are tools that we've seen with trainers that are training in this area, right? And so those, not good to go, all right?
What's the stick with the duct tape thing?
Just a stick to beat the dogs with.
But it's just like a soft beating. Is that what they're trying to do with the duct tape?
I don't know. I've not witnessed this, but
Holy crap!
But
If I was to say, I would say it's probably something along the lines of some type of positive punishment.
Yeah.
Where they're correcting a behavior.
Well, I can tell you with the whip from the story that we've heard, when they were asked about the whip, it was used to break up dog fights.
Well,
Shouldn't be happening
That's
anyway.
a total management failure of management of
Exactly.
the dogs in your care.
That's not a red flag. That's a stop sign.
That's
Why
it.
why are the dogs getting into fights
Yeah.
at a professional trainer's facility?
Right, because they
You
can't
know?
handle it. Yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
going. Back to Chris.
All right. So like those are some of the questions as far as like training goes that you can ask the trainer, right? So I think just with those questions right there, you could probably weed out a lot of bad trainers or people that shouldn't even be trainers, right? But some we're going to go a little bit deeper. So things you'll ask, where will my dog be staying? They ask us this all the time. The dogs stay with Chad here at his property, right? Physically, where are they staying? Are they staying in an open room with a bunch of other dogs? Are they in a run? Are they outdoors? Are they indoors? Do they have climate control? Is there heat? Is there air? All of that kind of stuff. These are questions that you should ask, and we get that pretty regularly, which is good that people are asking those questions.
Mm-hmm. And we get people that want to come see it. Good to go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's
Bingo.
set up a time.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
And
got to
that's-
schedule it, but
Yeah.
come see it.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's going to be. Don't jump ahead. See,
Sorry,
this is why we do
back
scripts.
to Chris. Back to Chris.
You're on script.
All right. How much physical and mental stimulation will my dog receive per day? Right, and then go a little bit further, like a couple hours, right? Go a little bit further. What is physical and mental stimulation? What is the stimulation that you are going to be providing to my dog? Right, like let's say right now,
Tense.
all four of us here at the table. What's going on with our dogs? We've got staff members that are going to look through this window and see Ashley out there working dogs. You know what I mean?
5 people at the table.
There's technically 6, actually.
6, including Ben.
I wasn't including myself.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I totally was. I just missed.
Back to Chris. Back to
I
Chris.
just missed.
Back to
But my point is, even though we're all here doing a podcast, we got people working dogs, providing physical, mental stimulation to our dogs, right? So is that because we know these trainers are also doing appointments? They might be doing private lessons. They're leaving their facility, leaving the dogs in kennel or whatever. What's going on when the trainer has left and is doing that kind of
That's
stuff?
a big deal because most. I wouldn't say. I would say most. Probably
Yeah.
most. Most dog trainers you're going to encounter, it's 1 or 2 people. Mm-hmm. They keep the dogs maybe at their house, in a spare room or something like that, and it's just them. We have taken a lot of time to build up our team. We're currently looking to build it even bigger. So
Shout out.
if you're looking to work somewhere, join a high drive, dynamic, intense, hardworking team. We've got some positions open.
We do.
But you won't find another training organization, or at least not very commonly. There are some out there, that has a staff like we do, training assistants, trainers, production, admin, all these different things going on to handle all the different pieces that go into an operation like this, So back to Chris.
Yeah. Now, just because somebody doesn't have staff, maybe it's just one person that's running this out of their house or whatever. I'm not saying to not use that person necessarily, but I would probably follow up some more questions. For example, how many dogs do you take on per trainer, or in total, how many dogs are you going to have there at one time? Right? If you got a one-man operation, he says, "Oh, I got about 20 dogs in here." And if we go off of the bare minimum of giving a dog 1 hour of physical stimulation per day. You got 20 dogs, one person, do the math. That doesn't add up.
20
Your dog's
hours.
your dog's not getting worked, right? Mm-hmm. So just kind of be smart about that. Ask, how many dogs are you taking on? I mean, if it's one person, I'd say no more than 5 dogs. That's pushing it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
a busy day.
With one person, 5 dogs, they're just focused on dogs. Like that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But definitely doable. If you got somebody that likes to get after it, it's definitely doable.
Now, in this, I used to, whenever I started this company, that's the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Just me.
Yep.
I'd get up 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to bed 9 o'clock at night. And I was just nonstop working dogs. Nonstop.
This is someone that likes to get after it.
If I'm taking a break in the middle of the day, all the dogs are just, hanging out in the house with me, doing spot time, downstay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, or if I'm going out to appointments, a lot of times I'd shove 5 dogs in my truck, roll out to an appointment, set up 5 spots. They'd all be doing their spots. So, it can be done.
Yeah.
But someone that's doing that, they're going to get burnt out.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, someone that's doing that by themselves, they're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
I did it for, I want to say 2 years by myself. And then I was like, got to add to the team.
Yeah.
Brought Chris, brought Ben, brought Viola on back then, and just built out from there. You know what I'm saying? And now it's pretty balanced, you know what I'm saying? But people can do that. If you got a trainer, that's doing it out of their house by themselves, they can do it, but it's a lot of work. They're going to get burnt out at some point.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Back to Chris.
Next question, heat protocols. Do you have any protocols? And this is, we'll give a shout out. We'll give it a shout out to our client Terry with Peekaboo. This was one of her. She did a very good job interviewing me. I went over for a consultation.
She did.
She asked a lot of these questions.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't feel any pressure. I thought it was good. I was like, I'm glad. But this was one of the questions she had. So, and I'll tell you, because she heard a story from one of her neighbors that sent a dog to a board and train. The dog died from heat exhaustion, right? So potentially because of the circumstances of the environment that the dog was being kept in. Don't know all the details on that one, but that she heard that story. She's like, whoa, hold up. Let me call Chris. Say, what's your heat protocols? Do you have heat protocols? Well, number one, do you have air conditioning? Do you have a way to cool the dogs off? Do they have access to water? Are they getting hydrated? That kind of stuff. When do you do all your training? Oh, well, I train at 2 p.m. in the heat of the day with no shade on the asphalt, right? That's a potential issue. Obviously, someone's probably not going to tell you that, but these are questions. Where do you train? Is it shaded? What kind of environment? Those kind of things to consider, especially in the summertime here in South Carolina. It gets hot, What does your schedule look like? They should be able to talk you through what a brief schedule looks like. We get that question a lot as well. We can tell people, and we send this home with all of our training dogs in our training handbook, what roughly our schedule looks like. This is when we're training dogs. This is when we're meeting with people. And then in between that, there's still training assistants, training dogs, all that kind of stuff. Right. And then protocols for if my dog gets injured, what are your protocols? Right. Like, we are very open with our clients. If there's anything like a hot spot that could develop, or a compression sore, or anything like that. Number one, we're going to be doing everything to try to prevent that. But if it does, you have to communicate with the client. Right. So that's going to be our protocol. Hey, this happened. This is what we're doing to prevent this, to make this better. But at the end of the day, you as the owner, you have the call on what to do. That kind of makes sense.
And if you can't get a hold of the owner, you take action with the dog's best interest in mind. Yeah. So scenario, a couple weeks ago, situation happened at about 9 p.m. Dog's going out for last potty, what I'm saying, which is about the time we do our last potty, about 8:30, 9 p.m., taking the dogs out for the last time for the night. And, for some reason, dog, some kind of allergic reaction triggers, dog bust out in hives within minutes. Eyes getting swollen, nose getting swollen, chest getting swollen, throat getting swollen, bumps all over the body, not good to go. Yeah. We take immediate action, because I was here. I throw the dog in my truck. I call Kevin, I'm like, Kevin, need you to call the owner. I call Lexi. Lexi needs you to meet me at the vet, Team jumps into action at 9 p.m., Lexi's in bed. I call her, wake her up. Lexi likes to go to bed early.
I was turning my lights off.
We all go to bed early except for Samantha.
And so I call Lexi, hey, meet me at the vet. Roger that, good to go. Call Kevin. Kevin's talking to the owner. This owner was awake. We're in communication with him. Let him know what's going on. Sending him pictures of what's going on.
I took a couple calls. I had to blow him up for a minute.
Oh yeah, maybe you had to wake him up. So anyway, get in contact with the owner. Good to go. They say, we trust your judgment. Execute whatever you need to execute. Let us know what you need from us. Meet Lexi at the vet. Get the dog in the vet. Lexi's good to go. 9 p.m. Lexi's in 100% uniform, ready to rock and roll. I'll say it.
Chad was out of uniform.
I was out of
uniform.
We all got to have a little bit of weakness.
I was in a cutoff shirt.
Crocs.
I was in some Crocs.
We have a uniform cutoff shirt. You could.
I know.
That's
failure on my part.
I saw him in a cutoff shirt last night.
Not uniform.
Not in uniform. Getting some things out of the freezer.
Let's just say that was in the macro.
It was ice cream. 2 cartons of ice cream. Really?
That was in the macro count for yesterday. Let's just say that.
Okay. Hey, if it's in there.
So anyway, Kevin's talking to the owners. So we're kind of distributing our responsibilities at this point. Lexi takes over for staying at the vet with the dog. Kevin's talking to the owners. 100% good to go. I think. Ended up getting a steroid shot. Dog's good to go by midnight. Lexi, returns the dog back to HQ, settles it down in its kennel, make sure it's good to go, secure everything, good to go for the evening. You know what I'm saying? So that is how rapidly, that we will take action. Doesn't matter what's going on, we're going to take action.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's been other situations where, something happens randomly, we take action immediately, because we're concerned about that dog's best interest. We're going to make contact with the owners. Now, there's some owners that something's happened, because things do happen. I'm saying? Things are going to happen randomly. Something happens, the owners are out of the country. We can't contact them. We can't get a hold of them. We take action.
Execute.
Execute plan, get the dog good to go, send the owners, either email or text briefing on what happened. This is what happened. This is what we did. Dog's good to go now, blah, 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 blah. Owners are always super thankful of that. Whenever they get back in contact with us, we brief them on all the little details and all that. So ask a potential trainer you're interviewing those questions. What are you going to do? What if you can't reach me? What if it's 2 a.m.? What if it's 9 p.m.?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? What time you go to bed? What time you wake up?
Actually, I know for a fact there's maybe a trainer or two that's in this area that sleeps in till like 9 o'clock. Doesn't start getting after it till like 9:30. That's what I heard. Out
of control.
I guess I don't know it for a fact. That's just what I heard. I should be careful with the words I use. But yeah, no, that's all good stuff for sure. Like basically, bottom line, like at the end of the program, you shouldn't discover that there's all these crazy injuries with your dog that you've never been brought up to speed with. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And of course, things will happen. Maybe hot spots, small abrasions, whatever. Your dogs are performing at a high level. Sure. You know what I mean? They're working. Just like us. What happens? I go home at the end of the night. I'm like, how did I get these cuts on my leg?
Tear your bicep.
Right.
Tear your bicep, or you're training a dog that is maybe scared of things.
Right. Yeah.
And if they get into a conflicted issue, their default genetic behavior is to turn around and bite the closest thing to them, and they happen to latch onto your leg and create deep puncture marks into your leg.
Oh, yeah. Rip your shirt.
Yeah. It's not like, oh my, you call the owner, hey, you gotta pay for my hospital. You gotta do this. That's not what it is.
This dog needs to be put down.
You're a dog trainer.
Part of the
things
job.
are going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or, just like Kevin said, sometimes things will happen, but it's all about clear communication between, the owner, the trainer, everybody involved. Or, you may have one day where you pick up a dog for training, dog blows out in your truck, dog blows out in your car, dog throws up all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
It's not calling the owner, well, you got to, It's like, hey, this is part of the deal.
You can't believe what your dog did.
That's why you get WeatherTech floor mats. I will tell you firsthand. Even if they get filled up, you can just hose them down.
Maybe that dog's struggling with some anxiety. That's part of the anxiety that you have to rehabilitate as a trainer, And even though it might be aggravating, even though it might be frustrating, even though you didn't plan on cleaning out a truck full of throw up or diarrhea, and it messes up your what you thought was going to be your schedule for the day. Now you got a 2-3 hour cleanup for your vehicle, is what it is. Part of the program.
I just plan for the blowouts, and then when they don't happen, it's a good day.
It's gotta be flexible, boys.
I get a blowout in my truck. I'm like, good. Yeah, blow up. Good to go.
Good. I needed to clean my truck anyway. Funny story. One time we went down to do some distraction work in Chad's truck, and he's got this little thing that the dogs lay on that he built, and in his truck's pretty nice.
It's nice.
We found a turd. You remember that? We found a little turd.
I mean, this has happened multiple times.
Found a turd, a little petrified turd tucked in there. Who knows how long that's been? Just out in the corner and say, hey, there's a piece of poop back here. But, yeah. Couldn't tell if it was human or dog, though, so you never know.
Yeah, I got a couple kids, so.
Moving on.
Back to Chris.
All right, so kind of finishing this segment out, lastly, want to end on this. Experience and certifications don't mean shit, right? Not necessarily, right? So just be mindful. So like some you'll look up some websites, so we've got 75 years of combined experience. Don't care, right?
75 years of throwing a can of marbles at the ground.
Exactly, right? So like I remember in my law enforcement days, I'm sure you guys have similar things in your military days and in corrections. Like, when I was a rookie cop, like 2 years in, I was a better cop than some guys that were there like 15, 20 years, right? So like it's all about the person's motivation, how they get after it, their ambition. Like you can have people that have 75 years of experience doing bull crap.
They never evolved.
Right, exactly. Or certifications. People like to show you their certifications. Oh, I'm certified through AKC, through Canine Good Citizen, through this and that, this online thing, whatever. And people like that stuff, and I get it, because a lot of times people will ask us, oh, well, who are you certified through? You know what I'm saying? We certified through ourselves for a reason, and we can talk you through our certification process. But just be careful about getting fooled by experience and certifications. Good experience. I'll take somebody that has 2 years experience doing the right thing over somebody that has 75 experience doing the wrong thing.
How do you determine if someone has experience doing the right thing?
You're asking all these questions.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like they're giving you the right answers to all these questions that we're talking about. That's how we kind of determine this. We're like, this experience is probably not good to go. Versus this person knows what the heck they're talking about.
If somebody shows up in a full bite sleeve and charges your dog,
Yeah.
ask them, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
What's
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the reason
Question
behind
what
it?
they're doing.
Yeah, don't just like let them do it.
Yeah.
This is your dog.
Yeah.
So the lady that just signed up with us, she had another trainer come over. First thing trainer did, put a prong collar on her dog, gave her a leash, said pull up until the dog sits. First of all, wrong.
Yeah.
Secondly, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're degrading the relationship with your own dog there. You're causing it pain to try to get it to sit. So that should tell you all you need to know right there about the methods.
Yeah.
So don't feel weird about saying, why am I doing this? Also, don't feel weird about saying, no, I'm not doing that to my dog. Get out of my house right now. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Feel free to kick them out.
Yeah.
But like somebody like me, you ask me questions, I'll spend hours with you on the phone.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're comfortable because if I'm looking for something, I want to be comfortable. I want the same thing.
sure.
If they're just rushing you through or just making you do these crazy things, like just go ahead and ex-nay that,
Yep.
move on to the next.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we get
Kevin
this
will
all-
spend hours on the phone with
He
you.
will.
I'm a talker, boys.
Yeah. We see him off there. He's sitting at the bench just hanging
Walking
out.
back and forth.
Pacing back.
I mean, we get it a lot. We get this too. Like remote callers is going back to that. Like, some people are uncomfortable with remote callers. And a lot of times it's because you don't understand. And they'll ask us, hey, tell me about this. I don't know if I'm comfortable with this remote caller. Cool. We need to spend some time on that. Let's talk through this. Let me tell you how we use the remote caller, why we use the remote caller. And guess what? I'm going to put it on you. Here, you feel that. Oh, okay. And we talk them through how their dog is perceiving the remote caller. And, that's good to go. We're educating, right? Versus just this is what you got to do,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? They're just putting
I've
high
heard a
levels.
story of someone asking a trainer questions, and the trainer says, "Quit questioning my methods. Are you a dog trainer? Quit questioning my methods."
That's what we would call a red flag.
Yeah.
That's like, see you later.
Yeah, that's that stop sign again. Kurt!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. And then lastly, this one just came up recently from a personal experience, but make sure they have a business license. Just make sure, are you a legitimate business? You know what I'm saying? Or
Just
are you-
ex-nayed a lot of people around here.
Yeah, well, good. You know what I mean?
You can
So,
also
like,
ask them if they have liability insurance.
Bingo. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, are you doing something right? If you're a professional dog trainer doing things the right way, you're doing things the right way. You know what I'm saying? You're not just maybe operating out of some shed in your backyard.
Say, go see the facility too.
Yeah.
The client has sent me videos of, because the guy be like, "Oh, I'll send you a video of it," and it looks like it's sketchy. It looks like a Halloween haunted house. There's
Yeah.
like barely any lighting. There's things just hanging from the ceiling. Dogs are going crazy in the
Yeah.
kennel. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's one dude. It's like,
Yeah.
how are you operating in this
Yeah.
capacity? You
Yeah.
know, you're not.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
so
the bottom line.
Bingo. So like that's our next step is like, let's say you interview, you're asking all these questions, you're liking what you're liking what you're hearing, right? Maybe there's still some like, oh, you know what? Let's see if these people can put their money where their mouth is, right? Next step, ask for a kennel visit or a facility visit, right? Some people might even just flat out say, hey, no, we don't allow visits. Thanks. Have a nice day. Right? See you later. Right? So will they even let you visit? We do like Chad mentioned, we do kennel visits. We offer those. Like obviously, yeah, we got to schedule it out and figure it out with everything that's going on, but we're happy to have people come out, show you around what we're doing, all that kind of stuff, right? When you're there, pay attention, right? They might try to distract you. They might try to ramble and give you all the fluff, right? That's fine. Listen, but look around, observe. Look at all the other dogs that are there. What is their condition? How are they acting? Are they very fearful? Are they crammed into kennels that are too tight? You know, are there tools laying around like whips and sticks and chains and I don't know what else? You know, crazy. Is there crazy stuff laying around? And I'm not saying like that's something that you got to be like, oh, what the heck? You know, ask about it. Oh, hey, I see a whip. What's this whip for? You know what I'm saying? Oh, we'll use that to break up dog fights. All right, cool. See you later.
Yeah.
Right? Versus, hey, you know, we do protection work, right? And there's a practical reason why I might use the whip. That's something that we use to train protection dogs, right? But it shouldn't be just laying out in the open. That's easy access, right? We do have protection equipment. It's off on a shelf. It's all together, nice, neatly organized, that kind of stuff. Does that kind of make sense? You guys got anything else on that?
Keep in mind, you're not whipping the dog during protection either.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying.
Let's just go ahead and touch
It's just
upon
for the
that
sound. Just for the
before
sound.
we get the red flag, you know.
Yeah. Other
But
things.
another thing too is like, you know, basically it comes down to ask a question. If there's something that you don't understand, ask a question about it. Whoever it is should be able to explain it to you.
Yeah.
If you're confused on the explanation, ask another question, you know, until you get satisfied on you understand the material.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Try to trip them up. Try to trip me up.
Yeah,
I like it.
I welcome it. I remember we did I did a kennel visit not too long ago, but we had a dog. I don't even remember the dog, but it was a dog that was having issues with like reaching into the kennel, right? And it would get a little bit aggressive. So we leave the leash on those dogs so that we can grab the leash and effectively manage that situation, right? So we do the kennel visit. They saw this, and I guess maybe it was made them a little uncomfortable. They're like, hey, why is this leash on the dog like this in the kennel, right? We can answer that. Like, hey, look, this is what this dog's going through. This dog's being rehabilitated. This sets everybody up for success so that nobody's getting injured. We're also not putting the dog in an uncomfortable situation. Like, oh, cool, Roger that. That makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, like, things like this that make you uncomfortable, they should be able to have logical explanations that go, oh, okay, yes, that does make sense. Or if it's something like, well, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Then you can either just say, hey, that doesn't make sense, or, just don't go with that person.
Yeah.
Basically, is everything that you are seeing at the facility, at the kennel, matching what they said in the interview? You know what I'm saying? Is if they say, oh, yeah, we give dogs plenty access to water, but you're looking around, there's not a water bowl in sight or anything. You know what I'm saying? So, like, just make sure everything's matching up. Take notes when you're doing your interview with these trainers. You do the kennel visit, bring your notes. Hey, well, you said that the dogs get water. Or, hey, you said at 2 o'clock you're doing training, but it's 2 o'clock right now. You're not training. You know what I mean? Like, there's just kind of treat it like an investigation, if you will. So, anything else on kennel visits, facility visits, things that you should pay attention, questions you should ask?
I mean, just talking to the trainers as a whole, right? Do you get the feeling that they're providing you with adequate information and trying to help you, or are they trying to make a sale?
Yeah.
So you go into to buy a car, you get bombarded. You can tell they're trying to control the situation. They see you as a dollar sign.
Yeah.
When you talk to a trainer, like when you talk to us, you can say right off the bat, well, I'm not comfortable with board and train. These are the issues that I'm having. Other trainers will say, okay, well, I can't help you. I'm going to spend hours with you on that phone telling you, okay, well, this is what I would do to start to try to address a situation in the home. This is some basic management, whatever the issue may be.
Hey, here's some podcast episodes that might help you
I'm going to give you reference material. I'm going to give you things that you can do at home to try to work through that. One to, maintain that relationship. Because then if you're still having troubles, oh, well, maybe, I'll give that a try. Because obviously he has the best interest, for my dog. So you need to look at it like that. If you feel weird, it's probably weird. And
even if you do reach out to us, you say something like that, you spend 3 hours on the phone with Kevin, he gives you all this material, you say, I still don't want to do a board and train. We're going to recommend someone to you in our community that we have vetted, that we, entrust to send people to that don't want to do a board and train to do a private lesson with,
Yep.
And this person as well, they may be working with somebody that, the dog is outside the scope of private lessons. They'll send you to us, for board and train. So having good relations with good people in the community that you can share information with, it's all about the dogs. It's all about the families, helping them achieve success however possible. So if you ask someone, hey, I want to do private lessons, and they say, well, we don't do that. Talk to you later, Or they give you reference material. They say, hey, we've put these up on our YouTube channel. We've got this podcast. We tried to explain it to you in this episode. If you're still, wanting to do private lessons, here's who we recommend you use. Reach out to them, good to go.
I've talked to people multiple times. They're not doing the program, but they call, they have a question.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people just call, I'm having problems with potty training.
Yeah.
Is that your only concern? Yeah, that's all I need.
I don't care
Okay,
about all
well,
the
here's
obedience.
some
that's
stuff
what you
right
do.
here. Just we want you to be successful.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah. Bingo. Cool. All right. So let's say you go through this whole process. Everything's looking good. You go forward, right? So there's a couple of things that you should expect, right? And this may be something you have to communicate during the training. Now we're at the point where, hey, we're going to go forward with this. We're doing a board and train with this trainer, right? So there are some things that you should expect. Number one, there should be some type of formal paperwork, I believe, right? So some type of you sign some kind of contract, something where it outlines some of these expectations. Hey, my dog is going to be with you for this amount of time, and in that amount of time, you're going to address anxiety or set me up for success for anxiety, insecurity. You're going to do teach obedience behaviors, sit, stay, down, come, heel, all of that kind of stuff, right? So there's some type of paperwork to where everybody's on the same page as far as what expectations are being addressed, right? There should be relatively frequent communication between you and your trainer, and they should be pretty responsive to you. Like our rule is we respond within 24 hours to our trainers. Obviously, yeah, we get busy, we're training dogs, that kind of stuff. But if we have a client reach out, we're going to reach back out to them within 24 hours, right? Especially if it's a client that we have their dog currently, right? We also do, one of the things we do is update videos, right? So you should get some kind of, like, I mean, I've heard so many stories of the dogs go off for this 8-week board and train, and there's zero communication, right? There's nothing that is setting this owner up to transfer the dog back to them at the end of this board and train, right? Our update videos are not only designed for you as the client to see the dog, see that they're doing well, see the progression, but we're also teaching you some stuff. Hey guys, we're working on the heel position. Here's what the walk looks like. Here's what I want you to pay attention. Look how they're deviating here. This is what we're going to do. Look how they're doing the right thing. This is what we're going to do, right? So now we're talking the clients through what to expect when the dog comes home, right? So we're setting them up for success long term. There should be something like that going on. And then there should be some type of instruction post-training as well, right? So we do a training handbook. It's like 15, 20 pages, somewhere in there, right?
Pages are numbered.
Pages are numbered now. And it has everything about our training protocols, progression, everything is written out, and everything you will need to know to be successful is in this handbook, right? For you to always have and keep and refer back to, right? You should, at a minimum, have some type of training session, right? So at the end of the training, you're either they're bringing the dog home, you're going to the facility, whatever, to pick up your dog. There should be some type of instruction of, hey, here's how you do everything that we've been working on. Here's what we've been working on, right? So like there should be something like that going on during the training process. You guys got anything else to add on with that?
The other thing too is they should be able to detail to you what to expect when your dog comes home from training. Hey, when your dog comes home, you're going to need to do X, Y, and Z to maintain the training. And here's the difference, because dog training is a service-related business. However, it's a live animal.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing being.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's different than getting your car, brakes replaced, because that's pretty cut and dry. It's not a living, breathing being. You know what I'm saying? It's different than your refrigerator. It goes out.
Personal experience.
A couple times.
A couple times. You have someone come over to fix it. It's a part that has to be replaced. It's not a living, breathing being. You have someone come over to fix your door. It's not a living, breathing being. You have someone come over to program your computer. It's not a living, breathing being. A dog is a living, breathing being. They have personalities. They have character traits. So, with that being said, there's going to be maintenance required. Even with your car, for example, there's maintenance required, preventative maintenance. You know what I'm saying? With your computer, you probably got to run diagnostics or whatever. I just tell Steven, what we need, good to go. But with your dog, there's going to be maintenance required after training. There's going to be things you need to do on a daily basis to maintain whatever level of training you've done. Now, of course, as the owner, you have the decision as to what extent you're going to do that, and you might see some adjustments or variability in some of the behaviors based on what's going on after training, but that has to be something that you understand, So one question we get asked, what's your guarantee on training? If you follow the training protocols, you're going to be good to go. There's going to be no issues.
You are the guarantee.
Right. If you deviate from training protocols, if you're inconsistent with your training protocols, there may be some inconsistencies with the level of training that you have at home, But in that case as well, they can always hit us back up. We'll go by, do a follow-up session, bring you back up to speed, do a little tune-up, on you and your dog.
Which, by the way, a little plug, all of our programs come with some sort of follow-up session included in your program. They're not additional.
Good to go.
Companies charge extra for that. So just FYI.
Good to go. So anyway, some other details there. Back to Chris.
Cool. All right, so wrapping this thing up, we're going to talk about some red flags. So things that just right off the bat, like I said, red flags aren't things that you're like, okay, absolutely do not go with this person, but probably warrants further investigation. So right off the rip, the length of the program could be a red flag, right? So like our shortest program is 3 weeks, and even then we prefer to do 4 week, right? 21 days to form a pattern of behavior. That's what it takes in mammals, us ourselves included, right? So anything shorter than that, you should probably be a little bit skeptical about, right? Can it be done? Sure. Can it be done the right way? Sure. With some dogs, right? But
with the right dogs.
With the right dogs, right? But especially if you're talking about addressing major issues, dog reactivity, insecurity, anxiety, separation anxiety, things like that, I'd be very, very hesitant to go honestly, I'm going to flat out like recommend a 4-week program. To be honest. So anything shorter than that, it could be a red flag, right? Weight loss can be a red flag. You do these kennel visits like we talked about. You see like a lot of dogs are losing weight. Now that's not like a deal breaker. There sometimes that happens. Sometimes dogs are stressed. They don't want to eat. They're losing weight. Again, this comes down to communication, right? So like we have experienced this ourselves, where you have dogs that they're stressed out or whatever reason, they're not eating food, they're still working, they're losing a lot of weight. We are in constant communication with the owner. Hey, just want to let you know this is what's happening. This is what I'm going to do to help resolve this. I'm going to decrease their exercise. I'm going to try to increase their intake of food, right? If you have any suggestions, they actually really like raw chicken, or they like this and that. Okay, yeah, let's try that, right? It's a teamwork thing. We're trying to set everybody up for success. If that's not going on, red flag. Right? Or if you're seeing across the board, all of the dogs at this facility or at this trainer's place is just, they're all emaciated, bones sticking out. That kind of, not like, well, that's probably a red flag too.
That's
bones
a
are
red flag.
sticking
That's
out.
a red flag, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? You can see their ribs, you can see their hips, you can see their spine, that kind of stuff. That's going to be a red flag.
I mean, opposite end of the spectrum, if all the dogs are fat.
Hey, good. Yeah. So in one end, so maybe we need to have some weight loss happening. You know what I mean? There are cases like that. Sometimes dogs come a little thick. And
Little stand action.
But again, right? There's still going to be communication. Like, hey, I'll tell owners, hey, dog's a little thick. We're gonna be giving them some exercise, get them on the Revolution diet, which we're all on as well, right? And
on the path.
On the path. Right, we're gonna get them slimmed down a little bit.
Might be a little bit of milk. Give him a little bit of milk.
I give that
Jocko
Vader.
milk.
I give that Vader.
Good to go.
He's got a 6-pack, so it hasn't taken on me yet. But all right, so just overall temperament stuff, and then injuries that we've already talked about. Right, so if you're seeing excessive compression sores, excessive hot spots, those ear injuries that we talked about, just any kind of injuries are obvious red flags, and they should be discussed further. Right. No communication from the trainer, right? That's a big red flag. So even especially in the interview process, in the beginning process, you're reaching out to this trainer. Hey, I'm trying to get some information. Like 5 days go by before they reach out to you. That's probably not a good sign. That's a red flag. Pay attention to how the person communicates with you. Do they speak in a professional manner, right? So like I've heard in this recent case that we talked about that kind of led to this podcast, this trainer told the client, oh yeah, well your dog reacted, but I put my foot in his ass, so I got him taken care of. Like, what the hell? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like that confused this client. They're like, well, no, maybe you guys talk a certain way in the dog training world. I'm like, no, not at all. Like that's not appropriate. Like, number one, you're a client. You're paying for a service. This is not an appropriate way to speak to somebody, and not an appropriate way to speak about a living being, right? Like, that shouldn't be if your mentality is, hey, I'm going to put my foot in your ass, like, you've got the wrong mindset to be handling dogs. And you should probably just pick a different line of work, right?
Walmart's hiring.
What?
Walmart's hiring.
Oh, they are. Yeah. You probably don't even need to be there. Like, honestly, just...
Just stop handling dogs.
Yeah. And then, lastly, big one, like, I've heard this a lot, a trainer suggesting that a dog be put down, especially for something due to, like, reactivity or something like that, right? So, like, this should not be a suggestion from a trainer whose job is to rehabilitate or to train behavior, right? To say, hey, this dog needs to be put down. We've got a dog right now that I'm fostering that's up for adoption. You should check out our social media if anybody's interested. He was like scheduled to be put down. He just had some anxiety. He like a little bit of dominance, a lot of anxiety. He went through like 2 different homes. He was very destructive, and he was just, he was described as a monster. He was like, he's this big 100-pound monster. Just, he's biting people. He's going crazy. He needs to be put down. He was scheduled to be put down. Now, he's living in my house. He's been in the bed a couple times. What? You'll have to talk to Kelly about that one. He's around my 2-year-old. I completely trust him. He's a good dog. He just needs clear communication, needs a lot of, all the stuff we're talking about here. So if a trainer's suggesting the dog be put down, big red flag, and probably go elsewhere.
If you're talking to a trainer about a dog and, one of the things I've talked to about with people before, they tell me they've got this dog with this issue, they're biting this, they're doing that, whatever. One of the questions I may discuss with the people is their lifestyle. What's your lifestyle? What do you like to do in your life? They're telling me they got this big, whatever, mixed breed dog, 100 pounds, biting people. But the people, their preference is go to work, come home, watch TV.
Yeah. Not a good
I may tell them, hey, this dog is probably not suitable for your lifestyle. That doesn't mean you need to put it down. I wouldn't put it down. The dog just needs to find the right people that can handle it.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying? So if your trainer's telling you that too, that's just them being straight up honest, 100% professional with you,
Yeah.
and that shouldn't be something that you get angry about. I love my dog. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you have this dog, you have responsibilities that go along with having this dog. You know what I'm saying?
A good trainer is going to support you too. Like we've done this. We've had people that have rehomed dogs, and like somebody, oh, I'm interested in that dog. That's not really a good fit for your family. Or hey, we got somebody that might be a good fit for you. You know what I'm saying? So like a good trainer is going to support you in that process as well. So anything else? Any other red flags you guys can think of that we didn't touch on, or anything that we didn't touch on?
Even while you're in training, if you go somewhere else, because we had this happen recently. The lady's trying to communicate with the trainer. Hey, can I get a picture of my dog? Can I get something? Because it's one of those trainers that doesn't do any updates.
Yeah.
Can I see what his living conditions are like? Takes days and days. Trainer's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Then trainer's getting pissed. Why do you need to do this anyway? It's like they're paying for this service.
Yeah.
We do our video updates. People hit me up. Can I get a picture of my dog? You have it that day.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be on our Instagram that day. We understand. Your dog's away from you. We want you to be as comfortable as possible. If you're sitting there as a trainer and somebody's asking for you an update and you're denying them, you need to stop being a fucking trainer, man.
Yeah.
Just give it up.
Yeah.
Or go learn and then try again.
How long does it take to snap a picture of your client's dog and send it to them?
And then the one that they sent was not good.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the thought process? Like, what's going through your head? You have to have some form of self-awareness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a crazy situation altogether. If you have my dog for 3 days and you're getting pissed off at me and you're not doing what I want, I'm likely probably going to show up.
Yeah.
In one form or another. Because I'm concerned with my dog. So
Yeah.
that's why those updates are there.
Yeah, for sure.
Good to go.
Anything else? Anybody got anything else? Ooh, give it to us, Samantha.
Okay,
Let's
here we
go.
So, for those of you who don't know, I'm very passionate about my dog of dogs now. But 2 years ago, when I was vetting trainers, I was sitting at work, doing the Google searches, reading all the reviews, and that was something that was really important to me. Like what people are saying was their experience with their trainers, and if there were any red flags within that, like people saying, like the trainers got mad with them or their dog came home with like cuts or whatever, like automatically I'm not even contacting those people. So the reviews were really important. But something that we didn't really touch on is like just with a consultation thing, like, do you trust these people? Like what's the vibe you're getting from them specifically? And so I maybe reached out to 5 different companies, ours included. I didn't work here at this point. I didn't know any of these people. But a lot of them were wanting me to drive like an hour and a half, 2 hours to their facility. Their emails were really short to the point. I'm like, hey, I explained everything about my dog who is dealing with some insecurities. Is this something you deal with? Like, can I come see the facility? They respond, yep. No information about what I'm dealing with, just yep. I ghosted them because like you obviously don't care enough about me and my dog.
They basically ghosted you, so
They
didn't even care about me in the first place. So I was like, okay, no go. Went and drove an hour or so, and I'm like by myself. I'm 20-year-old at this point, female with my dog that is insecure, probably would not protect me if someone tried to kidnap me, and I'm driving to this like random place in the middle of nowhere. I think I'm lost. I don't know where I am. This guy comes out, barefoot, completely unprofessional. I'm like, is this the right guy? Like, am I about
you a
to get
dog
murdered?
trainer?
I take out my dog. And my dog was dealing with insecurity specifically for like random scary objects like scooters, like would freak him out, like children. If a child like screamed out of nowhere, like he would get really nervous and like bark at them because like that's a scary thing. And but he never had any issues until that point with like strangers specifically, because he was never really in a scenario where he was uncomfortable enough, because I wouldn't put him in those scenarios. So I take my dog out of the car. This guy immediately comes over and he's like, just start walking. I'm like, ugh. oh, okay, like, am I gonna be okay? You know?
Yeah.
And Coda, my dog, of course, starts like going off on this dog, like, or barking at this guy, like really sketched out. I'm sketched out. He just starts blabbering off information. I can't hear him because my dog's going nuts. I'm like, like, my dog is really uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
And it was not, you know, the professional setting I was wanting. And in my head, I'm like, I brought my dog here and he is hella uncomfortable. This is a bad experience for him. This is probably making it worse. We go inside, do the consultation. It's like, you know, an hour long. A random dog comes out of a room and charges me. Granted, it's a Yorkie, but this Yorkie is trying to attack my dog.
Yorkies can
and I'm
get
like,
it.
where is this Yorkie coming from? And it's just like completely unprofessional. He's trying to, you know, give my dog treats, which I'm like, okay. He goes to the fridge, takes out cheese, gives my dog cheese, is just throwing cheese at him. My dog would like kind of grumble at him because he's like, you know, being sketch, rewards him with cheese. And I'm in my head, I'm like not confrontational enough to say something, which, you know, I should be better about that. And you should be when you're vetting people like this. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. I wasn't confrontational enough to say anything, but in my head I'm like, my dog's gonna have diarrhea for weeks after this. He fed him a whole bag of cheese.
Wait,
and
did he have diarrhea?
He definitely did for literally 2 weeks
In the car on the way
and
home.
it was like Parmesan cheese. I'm like, this is not,
Oh, wow.
you know, like not even like cheddar. It was like Parmesan
Couldn't even give him
stinky
the slice.
cheese.
You know,
Yeah.
just, there you go.
So that was not good. And from the minute I got there, I knew that I wasn't going to go with this person. Their prices were ridiculous anyway. And I'm just like, why would you want to exacerbate the problem? Why can't you just like tell? Because I already knew it was a confidence issue. He didn't really speak on that. He just talked fluff about his programs or whatever and gave me this, you know, outrageous price for what I thought, you know.
What was the price for the length of time?
I don't remember the length of time, but it was like $8,000. So I didn't even like read on it. And I didn't have that much money. And I know dog training is an investment, like for the life of your dog. But for that scenario, I'm like, you're out here barefoot. You got dogs running at my dog. You're like in the middle of nowhere. You're super sketched. Didn't even say like hi to me when I first rolled up. He
You
just
go to
starts
rewards
blabbering.
cheese, you know?
Yeah, he's using cheese. I'm like, I don't like, is my dog going to be, you know, set free with this Yorkie? You know, I'm like, I don't know.
Did they at least have nice feet? Or were they just tore
I
up?
wasn't looking. It was gross.
Little
I mean,
pedicure
we were
action?
That's the
outside-
first thing I would have looked at.
We were outside in the dirt, and I'm just like, his toes are just right there.
Me being the person I am, be like, bro, you're barefoot.
Yeah, no, I was.
What are you doing?
I was flabbergasted because that had been my first consultation because I didn't go to the other people, you know, and everyone else wanted me to go to their facility also like far away. And after that being my first consult, I was like really turned off to all of it because I'm like,
A little
what the
traumatized.
heck? I'm like, that was not good for me or my dog, you know? And so I ended up going home. I finally saw the Canine Revolution, the website, all the videos. I watched all the videos. I read all the reviews. They were all good. Yeah, my favorite one was the Jeffrey one with the morning coffee. I thought that was hilarious.
Good one.
Old school.
Probably
I
need to
literally-
cycle that one again.
I was showing it to Adrian. We're like busting out laughing.
Oh, you know Adrian like that.
Yeah. Submitted the contact form, and Chris was the one who emailed me back all this information about insecurity, which I'd never heard that word specifically. So, like, you know, that knowledge of like knowing what it is.
Wait, was his email back within 24 hours? I don't know if I checked up.
Probably.
Oh, I guarantee.
I
it.
mean, I can't remember at this point. But
All right, pull it
probably.
up.
I was like refreshing my inbox for like ever, just waiting for it, but not forever. You know, it was
For her,
pretty
it
good.
seemed like.
Yeah.
Because I was just excited to hear back. And it was all the information, the pricing or whatever. And I had asked in my initial thing, like, do you do consultations or whatever? And they surprised me by saying, like, yeah, when am I available to come into your house? You know, it was Tuesday at whatever. Okay. And I'm like, yes, put me down, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, also a little nervous because I'm home alone. This is the first time a stranger has ever come into my house because we had just moved into this house. So I'm like, I don't even know how Coda's going to react because I know he's insecure or whatever.
Wait, Adrian wasn't home for the consultation?
No.
No,
Oh.
he was still in the military at this point.
And I thought he was there at one point because Chris called me. He's got nice legs.
He does.
See
Oh
there
my
you go.
gosh.
He's
Shout
got
out to
nice
Adrian.
legs.
His quads are popping for
Nice
real.
thighs.
He was
He
wearing his
squats,
marine
Okay, so
marine
stop
silky
gassing
shirt.
him
Thunder
up.
thighs.
Anyway, continue.
So I'm like, do you need me to put him on a leash? Like, I don't know how he's going to react. Like, I don't, I'm just like concerned for his safety. And he's like, no, he's fine. Like, just, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm like,
Typical Chris.
oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Don't worry about it. Bring it on.
Yeah, and so Chris shows up. Coda, of course, barks at him, for 30 seconds. And, like, all I'm thinking about, like, Chris is, like, answering my questions and, like, whatever. But all I'm thinking about is, like, can I trust this person with my dog for whatever amount of time? So I'm just looking at Coda. And, like, Chris is talking to me and I'm listening, but I'm just staring at my dog. And I'm like, could I see you going with this person for, however many weeks? And then eventually Coda gains up the confidence, kind of sniffs him, smells the hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately sits, starts offering behaviors. And Chris is like, oh, you like that, buddy? Oh, you like a hot dog? And he's giving him hot dogs. And I'm like, okay.
He still likes my hot dogs.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is someone who obviously cares about my dog, didn't come in barefoot, You did have a man bun, but it was under his hat.
Oh, I forgot your hair was long.
I was trying
under
that
a
out.
hat, so-
It wasn't a good
Back
idea.
in the day when Chris had long hair.
Yeah, and
Not a
so
good idea.
I was like, this person isn't here to scare my dog, isn't like, trying to sell me on this $8,000 program or something. And then Coda just kind of slinks off, like does this thing, lays next to a couch. I'm like, not even thinking about it. Chris is like, does he do that a lot? And I'm like, lay down? Like, what do you mean? He's like, with insecure dogs, they tend to like lay up against furniture and under things. And I'm like, holy crap, I never even thought of that. I'm like, these
Mind
people
blown.
know what they're talking about. So, I mean, right then I was sold. They just, had a spot open up, which happens occasionally. And I signed the contract that night. Like, I was sold on that. And, Chris ended up being his trainer. So
Yeah.
thanks for that.
And then we got her. Now we got her.
Then when Coda's in training, we open up a job position. Samantha applies.
Yeah.
Within
I think she was
20 seconds of the job being available.
I'm pretty sure she was an employee,
Yeah.
like before the return session, right?
No, we had to
Very
wait.
close.
We had to wait to do her interview until the day after Coda went home.
Oh, okay.
So that Coda
Okay.
wouldn't mess
Yeah.
up his training at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Coda goes home and then she comes in the next day for an interview.
Yeah. It said
Nice.
like job posting was posted like 20 seconds ago. I emailed Chad because I know he's the founder, CEO. I'm like, I don't know if this disqualifies me because my dog's there right now, but like, here's my resume. He's like, cool.
Good to
Good
go.
to go.
Good to go.
So
No, I mean
good story.
that's good. And like something that Samantha touched on is like the way that people communicate. Like, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts. Like we train ourselves on that kind of stuff. We've talked about like the interactive styles book. How to, like if somebody's reaching out, the way that they're talking, we know how we should interact with them. Like for someone like Samantha, a response is not, she says, "Oh, can we come to the facility?" Yep. Like that's not going to sit well with her interactive style.
That's part of
Romantic.
the trainer certification process.
Exactly. Right.
You
It's
know?
like in order to
I
be-
mean, some people's default communication style may be, "Yep."
Yeah.
And you know what we do?
Kevin.
Kevin was a little bit like that. Oh,
It's the
yeah.
warrior
Yeah,
boys.
Kevin definitely had some learning to do on how to interact with people.
Well, we just talk differently in the prison. So
Right. Or Chris, whenever he's in his certification, he's treating people like they're being interrogated. And I'm like, Chris, you're not interrogating these people. You're having a conversation. with
coming from consultation is just one swinging light.
Every conversation is an interrogation, boys.
So yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a good that's like not related to dogs. You know what I'm saying? But these are
Right.
things that we are doing to better ourselves to communicate. Like these are little things that people should be doing if you're in the professional business period, not just dog training.
You could almost say it's like layers to
Onion
the
layers.
to the whole onion.
Like an onion.
The
Right.
onion layers. Maybe one podcast will go into detail on
Onions.
trainers trainer certification process that we
be
do.
good.
Phew, that's gonna be a
Details
long
of it.
one, boys.
Good one.
So good to go. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. We covered a lot of material. Take away some information that we talked about. Apply it. If you have a question, reach out to us. Shout out to David from California. Actually just reached out to me yesterday. Had a question about some dog training. Said, "Hey, I'm listening to your podcast. Hit me up on Facebook randomly."
Nice.
Hi, David.
Hit me
What's up,
up.
David?
Hit me up. Said, "Hey, listening to the podcast. I've listened to every episode. I love it. Thanks.
Nice.
Thanks for the information. I wish you guys were closer." I told him, "Hey, we have trained dogs from California before," but he said, "Hey, a couple questions." He asked me a couple questions. Asked me for some references for what he can do at home, which of course I provided to him. And one thing I'm going to do: look up some trainers in his area. Recommend a trainer that I feel like would be good for him and his dog in the area. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things we do as well. We understand not everybody can afford to send their dog from California to South Carolina to train and then back home. You know what I'm saying? We have had people do it before, but not everybody can do that. So what we will do, reach out to that trainers in your area, find someone suitable for you, that, you know, we vet their methods, we refer you to them. We just did that for someone in New York as well. Luckily, I have someone I went to the Michael Ellis School that lives up in New York, has a really good business, referred them to her, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, thanks for reaching out, David. We love getting feedback on the podcast, you know, so if you're listening and you want to provide some feedback, please let us know. Please rate us on your favorite podcasting platform. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what topics you want to hear. A couple things, you know. If you need some coffee, hit up One Nation Coffee. Me and Kevin been drinking a little bit this morning.
I'm zooming.
We're drinking the
good stuff.
Moab blend. We also put some collagen in there.
You put some collagen. He's like, here, have some of this.
You forced that.
I was like, what's that? He's like, just drink it.
And then, you know, the other thing too is if you're looking for some pretty cool dog training apparel, hit us up on our Linktree, Instagram, Facebook, website. Click on the apparel. That supports this podcast. It enables us to keep it going, enables us to help sponsor some dogs through training programs. But also, this month of October,
Oh, yeah.
we got a special limited edition item
I already ordered mine.
on our apparel site. You'll have to check it out yourself, but it's limited edition, October only, for breast cancer awareness. We are donating some profits to an organization to support those struggling with breast cancer awareness. But check it out. You'll know which one it is if you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
But get that design, and then tag us on Instagram or Facebook whenever you are wearing it. Let us see you wearing it out in town.
I bought 2 of them.
I bought 4.
Dang, I got to get 2 more.
I bought one of each design for me and my wife. Good to go. So anyway, appreciate the support. Thank you guys for your support, listening to us ramble on or ranting a little bit today. If you have questions, let us know. Otherwise, keep getting out there, training your dog, doing good things. And until next time, out.